One thing in the Arctic you depend on is storms like this. They'll last anywhere from a day to 2 weeks at a time. And that's why the polar bear hunters that came to this environment, they had to be tough. When it finally cleared off, the airplanes looked like they went through a whole winter. We'd taken the oil out of the airplanes, took it inside, kept it warm, brought it out, dump it in. Hopefully, it's a good clear day. We can fly over the ice cap today and hunt for polar bear. He had to be tough to just come up here. It's Lee Olin, legend in his own time. Arctic bush pilot that survived all those years of Arctic flying. Still around today. We always used 2 Super Cubs, and if you had a problem with one, you had a chance to get back. We're at Little Point Hope, Alaska, 250 Eskimo people, 1,200 dogs. You could only hunt March and the first week of April, and at that time all the polar bears, the male bears especially, were migrating north. This is an open lead of water right offshore. There's a white beluga whale coming up that lead. One rose, blue, slowly went down. The ice cap was a strange and enchanting land. And everywhere you looked, you saw a big male polar bear migrating. They're going with the ice cap, trying to keep ahead of the melt. They're always going left to right, going north. Now a lot of these bears were inaccessible. You can't land everywhere. We had a headwind, that bear almost stopped the airplane and went right under the wing. As far as the eye could see, no landmarks. And in a day, you may see 15 to 20 polar bears. There was no shortage of bears than there isn't today. Population-wise, they may be the most prevalent of all bears on this planet. When you finally found a bear that you thought was a real fine trophy, you went way ahead of the bear and landed. And then hopefully the bear would come to you. So you had to get clear out in front of him and wait. He hasn't seen us. He doesn't know we're here. And he's coming along in that beautiful polar bear shuffle. He suddenly senses we're here. Probably got our scent in the air. You notice the gait of that bear, how smooth its back is. So this animal probably weighs 1,200 pounds. You think that's too much? They get a lot bigger than that. This bear is a good male polar bear. He's probably 7, 8, 10 years old. They can even get to be 30. Charles Junko, who has a doctor's degree in biology at the University of Montana, did a survey on these bears and some studies on them. In 1971, they weighed a live polar bear 1,450 pounds. No, you didn't hear me wrong. The largest bear, to my knowledge, weighed on this continent was that 1,450-pound bear, much bigger than a Kodiak. I think it's safe to say these polar bears are the largest bear on this planet. You know, I've heard it said it wasn't sporting to hunt these polar bear with an airplane, but it was always said by people who've never been out there. It was sporting enough just to fly like over that ice cap, even without the landing and hunting. There's vast areas out there that no hunter would ever get to any other way than hunt with the airplane. And due to politics, they shut off the polar bear hunting. They weren't killing that many. They went right on hunting them in Canada, Norway, Russia. And it really was too bad because the Eskimo people derived a good share of their living from the polar bear hunter. Because they took hunters out with a dog sled. And then they got all the money from fleshing the hides and just the money they spent in the village. Made a great difference to these isolated villages such as Point Oak, Alaska. For every polar bear that you took on that ice cap, you probably saw 20 you didn't, like this big guy here. The Eskimos really look forward to the polar bear season, where the hunters went out in the dog team. And it was a sporting way to hunt, but you had to be tough to hunt that way. And it was risky. In Canada today, they're taking hunters out exactly the same way. They're flying them out to a camp, and the Eskimos take them around either in a dog team or with an over snow machine, such as a Skidoo. They hunt them that way. That ice changes every day. It moves, crumbles up higher, forms all these pressure ridges. And the only way you hunted the polar bear from the dog team was you just went out on the ice pack and you may spend 6-7 days to find a good bear. Climb to the top of pressure ridges and glass. He spots a good polar bear. He'll come back and put on his white parka, and then he'll take 3 dogs out of the team that have already run polar bear, and they will go out, surround that bear, and bring it right to him. That's right. You can see if that bear took off going through those pressures and jumble up ice, he'd never catch up to him and get a shot. He's only using a .222 rifle. And he likes to bring that bear within feet of him, get him right up close, put that little bullet between his spine and his shoulder blades, and kill him in one shot. That hide means a lot to him. He used to get about $2,000 for a polar bear hide. And if he could kill a couple, 3 bear a year, it made a lot of money to him, made him a good living. You notice that bear isn't afraid of these dogs? But you also note that he's very clumsy on top of that ice. The dogs are afraid of him, they should be. One little flick with that fish-hook type claw and that big paw he is, and they're dead. To my knowledge, there's never been a man withstand an attack by a polar bear because he kills people and even those dogs he'd kill the same way as he kills a seal. He hooks him with his claws, jerks him to him, and always bites him right behind the head on the neck. That's where he kills a seal. He knows it instinctively. So once they hook a person, it's dead. 1 year over the world, they had 7 zookeepers that were killed by polar bear, and every one of them were killed the same way. It's a big bear. Notice how clumsy he is. The dogs only have to half run to keep up with him. They can't begin to get near him. He knows it. The dogs have brought that bear within 30 feet. killed him with that little 60-grain bullet. The same gun he uses on seal. They brought that bear right up to him. Made a perfect shot on him. Killed that 1,200-pound polar bear. Look at the size of that bear's head. Almost as wide as his body. That's Great Bear, Okila. You know, it's almost a community affair when you kill a polar bear that way. All the neighbors come in, 4 or 5 of them, and they'll get around that big 10, 11 foot high. It'll take them a better part of the day to flesh it. They always keep a hole open to wash their polar bear skins in. If they didn't keep it open, it'd freeze so thick, sometimes 5, 6 feet, they wouldn't be able to do this. Amazing thing about that polar bear hair, it's like little glass tubes. You hold up the light, you can see through the hair. And they put snow on it. You think it'd form ice. It doesn't. It dries it. And the minute you put it in the air and flick it, all the ice falls off. And that's what happens to the bear when he has to swim in the winter at 30 below. He'll just jump out of the open lead of water and all the snow and ice will just shed right off. That's how he can stay warm in that Arctic temperature. I hope someday they allow polar bear hunting again. It was a great adventure. To plan a grizzly hunt in the Rocky Mountains in Canada, it takes a lot of time and preparation. You know, there's not a lot of grizzly anywhere. And if you're going to hunt a high mountain bear like we plan on doing, you got to do it with a couple of years in advance, line up a good outfitter, and try to pick an area where you know hunters have killed a lot of bears. This area in central British Columbia in the Rockies is just below Dawson Creek. It's the old Andy Young area. And one time Andy, he's gone now, killed a lot of bears away in the record book. Today, Don Morrison runs the area, and I've heard since I made the film that since he was 72 years old, he retired and sold the area to a couple of young guys. Got a lot of grizzly. One time he had the reputation to have more grizzly bear than any place in North America. We got in a couple days early so we could get ready for the hunt.
What kind of a bull, what kind of make of a bull is that? Good.
It's called a marten, and of course it's compounded. When these wheels came over, it's got about a 60-pound pull. Then when they came over, it's only like 28 pounds, so you can hold it. It's initially, to pull it back just takes a little practice. Anybody can do it. I noticed you couldn't pull it, but when I started, I couldn't either, and it only takes a little while to pull it. But this marten bull is made by a family. It's a family bull kind. There's a lot of bulls made, but I really like it. It's my first bull, and you know, I'm just learning.
How long have you been shooting the bull?
Well, I just started about 3, 4 weeks ago.
Oh, you're doing good.
It is all in how you release these fingers, a lot of it, and follow through. In other words, holding after you let go. At least I find that out. And see, now I put that one almost in the target. And I had a nice release. And I held on it, you know, after I let go. It's got a special sight, and you look through a little peep sight here.
That's quite a rig. It's a long ways from the old bow and arrow.
Oh, a long ways from the
yeah, sure is. Yeah. And these are hunting.
Yeah, there's the hunting arrows. Broadhead, they call them. They're just nothing but razor blades.
Boy, they're pretty deadly.
Deadly arrows. Every chance I got, I tried the bow, and we had a lot of grouse in that country, so I got to shoot at about 20 of them. Before we went on our hunt, I just walked around and practiced on those grouse. Tell you one thing. They can duck the arrow. I found that out. Well, they're gone. Two were right over the top of them. Here's one only about 30 feet. Ooh, right over the top. He ducked under the arrow.
Oh, there's a big old moose track.
Woods, that is a big moose track.
That's a big moose. Probably a bull. It's for certain a bull.
Yes,
That's a big, big track.
They're not going to be willows.
That's what up in there. Yeah. Oh boy, that's a big old wolf track, yeah.
Yeah. He's been all over in here.
Yeah, all over.
Must have been more than one. There was a lot of wolf track in here.
Look at the size of that.
It's bigger than my hand.
Yeah. Boy, there's no big old set of tracks now. By God, Bruce, here's a bear track here.
It sure is.
Dave, that's not the same track.
Pretty good sized bear too, isn't it?
You bet, it's a good sized bear.
One mud flat. We've got moose, wolf, and bear tracks.
It's kind of unusual.
That just shows how much game's in this valley, doesn't it?
Pretty unusual.
Been eating in here?
Yeah, they didn't even Bruce. They move in here in the fall. They love this clover. And this clover, like these lines, this is a pipeline, Grizzly Valley pipeline. And they, after they're done, they come in here and aerial seed it. This is one of the best years of clover I've ever seen.
So this actually probably makes a very good habitat for all the game animals,
You
huh?
can't beat it. Moose work on it, bear use it, everything uses it.
I didn't realize they ate clover. I just never thought of a...
This is outside clover. This joint is stuck here.
Uh-huh.
This is maybe a little bit of alfalfa thrown into it here. But it just, and that taller stuff, that's Timothy.
They're just coming out of the timber there and feeding in the clover.
Yeah, and it's getting on now. They'll start coming out pretty quick now. Hours, so.
Uh-huh.
Boy, Bruce, you made a nice clean shot of that.
Yeah, it's up against this black timber, and it was just a little hard to distinguish as to what was what.
The one-shot kid.
Yeah. Yeah. The V. White V. Yeah. Pretty good head. Yeah. He was coming out of that timber into the clover, and that was his mistake. Fur's in good shape. Nice winter fur.
They'll make you real nice.
Yep.
Got a nice brown nose.
Yeah, how do you like that?
So
Huh?
make sure you give them a brown nose.
Right. And now the work starts. Let's go get Frank.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank does a good job on them bears.
I tell you, those northern Indians really like good fat black bear. They save every bit of that fat, render it out, and this bear had over 11 inches thick on his rump. He had about 30, 40 pounds of fat on him. So you can tell his diet was good. That's a fat bear.
Yep.
Fat, okay?
Yeah, that's pretty fat.
He had a good year eating.
Yeah.
I guess not only your cousin was mauled by a grizzly, but also your brother-in-law was killed by one. Wasn't he?
Well, as far as that goes, I didn't tell you the whole thing. My grandfather was a pack on a grizzly bear too.
Good.
My dad's dad.
Yeah.
And one of my aunties.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, the one that got your cousin, hadn't been for you, he'd got killed. Wouldn't
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, he would be.
he? I guess
would
you
be
two
killed.
of you were tracking him, huh?
Yeah, two of us.
What was it like? The two of you were tracking him and
Yeah.
you waited under a bank? Or how was that?
Well, he was waiting for us under the spruce tree, that old bear, actually. And I was on the back channel. I thought he would scare him out of there so I wouldn't have a chance to shoot him. And now all of a sudden I hear a shot, not too far away, about 30 feet or so. So I ran over and seen this old grizzly bear had him already. He was on top of him when I first seen him. Finally, he got up on his hind feet and standing up to swing them way up.
You mean in the front paws? You had him
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty hairy.
Yeah. Boy, you sort of hear the noise when the grizzly bear's doing something. Oh, awful sound. And my cousin was a hollering at the same time.
Well, I can believe it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was the hardest shot I ever made in my life. Of course, I might kill my cousin or kill the grizzly. I just took a chance anyway.
Well, you jumped over the bear, huh?
Yeah, in second shot. Jump over the bear and turn around and shot him on the head.
You know, I guess your brother-in-law, the same thing happened to him. You fall on the bear and the bear waited on you.
Yeah, same thing. Same thing happened.
You know, in my 30 years filming up here in the north, I've heard a lot of stories. When you follow a grizzly bear, he does one thing. When he finds out you're following him, he comes back on his track and waits for you.
That's right. That's
Bear
right.
might do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And bears, and grizzlies, they really hate anybody following.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, he know it too.
Your brother-in-law, did he get a shot at the bear?
No chance.
No chance.
No chance at
What
all.
happened?
Well, the bear was behind him. So he grabbed them the first thing from behind, and he didn't have no chance to shoot.
Yeah. How many grandkids you got, Mike?
32.
Is that all? 32 up.
32, not just a little start.
A little star.
Yeah.
You got your own tribe up there, 32.
Yeah, it is.
That's a bunch, eh?
Yeah, quite a few of them.
I think the best advice I can give anybody that's black bear hunting is that every fall it's a little different depending on the season and the way the berries come off. And in the high country where we're used to hunting, any mountain range, you find the food source for black bear and you find the bear. It's pretty easy to pick this sow out because of her coat. If you noticed here how rough it is, any female bear that's usually nursing young will have a real bad coat. And this year was a bad berry year. There wasn't any berries to speak of, so they went to the creek bottom. And all these wild roses with the rose hips are still there, and they are eating them. This isn't really berries. It's actually a rose hip. Kind of unusual to see her with just one cub. That's all she had, and he knows how to eat those berries. In almost any place that you hunt black bear, like these guys, you'll find food source. Now this big male black bear, which is a brown color, it almost looks grizzly, is a 400 or 500 pound bear. He found a dead elk along a riverbank, probably a wounded elk who died here. He acts like he doesn't know we're here. You watch. He knows we're here. In the spring of the year, the best advice I can give you for hunting black bear is to go to the areas where you know they're deading up. That's pretty easy to find. And go to the big open meadows. They graze like cattle. They prefer grass to anything else they can get. Probably 80–90% of their diet is vegetation. The largest black bear that I've ever been around is this guy right here. I killed him 25 years ago. Big brown bear in color, which you get a lot of in the Rockies. The size of his head, as big as a grizzly. Black bear vary so much in size because they grow a little every year. And this is not a fat bear. Spring of the year, I caught him grazing. One shot with a 7mm, and that was it. But compare him to my body. I'm 6 foot, almost 2, and the bear so much bigger than I am. There's no comparison. Of course, he weighed 602 pounds. That's right. His neck is as big as my shoulders. We took him, placed him in the pickup, took him to town. Weighed 602 pounds. When you pack up and go to that high country where the grizzly are, you're really glad to get back to the mountains. There's something about high mountain hunting that's different than any other place. And while we were packing up, it's kind of funny. We were so busy putting our loads on that we didn't watch the mountains that much. And Don's wife said, "I see some spots up there in that basin." And I thought, oh, sure, more tree stumps. Boy, was I wrong. I got the glasses out and took a look. Way up high in this high Rocky Mountain basin, there's 2 spots. A brown one and a black one. Grizzly bear. It took us an hour and a half to get up there. And that mountain was steep, straight up. Before I ever went up there, I knew that probably the 2 bears being together that way were 2.5-year-old cubs that were still together, young bears, and they were. Now here's the 2 color phases you never see: coal black grizzly and almost totally blonde, platinum blonde. The black bear acted nervous continually, where the platinum blonde bear had a more placid action. Now I found that out a lot with grizzly, and there's a reason for it. Any boar grizzly, whether he's in this country or clear up in Alaska, is a very nervous bear because he's always got a boar trying to get after him. The minute that blonde grizzly spotted us, she started working her way towards us. But he was always nervous, looking around, and kept working up the mountain. He paid no attention to us and the camera. It was a different story with her. She kept working around the mountain, coming closer and closer. Now we didn't want to have to kill her. But she showed no fear. Look at her looking at us and smelling and tasting the air. You see her tongue flick up. There goes her tongue. Looking right at us. She's only about 100 yards away. The reason that boar is so nervous, other boar grizzlies try to kill him continually. You figure that's, with a new research project that's just gone on, that's probably more bears killed that way than any other way, boar grizzly killed. She kept getting closer, and I decided I'd just take a shot in the bank in front of her and scare her off. Didn't even face her, she just looked up. Now you watch that rock. She's gonna turn around here. That rock right in front of her. Watch that rock. When it hits the rock, scare her off. I'll tell you it scared her. She ran about 10 feet, stopped, turned around. The black grizzly never ran, he just kept walking up the mountain. She, different story with her. She kept moving down that mountain towards the camera. So I got down to the bottom of the valley where I could really watch her. She came within 30 feet. Look at the wind blowing her hair. I didn't want to have to kill her. She can cover that 30 feet in 2 seconds. I moved on down the valley, kept up with her, and finally she just went back to grazing. There's huckleberries growing all over this big high basin. They're a low bush huckleberry and that real green bush. She's only about 40, 50 feet away. But I could tell from her body action that she totally forgot about us. Decided that we were nothing to bother her, and went right on feeding. We moved down out of the basin. And her brother, and I'm sure he was a boar, was doing what they do best, eating. They never quit. They're an eating machine. The last time we saw them, they grazed almost back together, and that's where we left them. When you go on a high mountain grizzly bear hunt, and that is the toughest way to kill a bear there is, fighting in his own domain. You spend about half your time around that camp, unpacking horses, packing horses, setting camps up, fixing your food, doing camp chores. Where we made our camp in the high Rockies was a good omen. Right above us was a band of 13 mountain goats. This is the Rockies. The pack you see here is a camera pack. Been all over North America with me for 30 years. It has a camera in it, and it is bulky. It is a pain. Old Don Morrison's 72 years old, and that man could work like a 16-year-old kid. This is our Indian friend Frank. Well, Frank's 67. But when you go to that high mountain, I think half the fun of going is having a camp like this. And all the chores you have to do and the things that you forgot you did. I used to live half the year, every year this way. Under a tree somewhere in the high mountains. Just the smell is enough to bring back great old memories. And of course you forget how much you miss the campfire. Sitting around the camp, drinking tea, watching the fire. I never seen so much bear sign in my life in the country.
There's a lot of bear sign.
Well, a lot of bears. Last night, Frank, your Indian friend, had to kill a bear. Right here. Shot him right there. He wouldn't leave camp. Just kept coming back.
Eat his potatoes as fast as he could.
Yeah, he cooking potatoes and the bear come into camp and ate them. That's pretty bad. Frank, come on in here and bring that bear. What happened to you and your bear? What happened last night?
Well, he ate my potato. Got me mad, eh? So I have to shoot him.
He was in the fire after your potatoes?
Yes, he was.
I'll be damned. Has he got a brown nose? He does have.
Yes, he does have.
Brown nose. And in fact, you had to kill him because you wouldn't leave camp, eh?
No.
He's really got a nice hide on him. Just a young bear.
What would you say he is? 2-year-old?
2-year-old.
2-year-old black bear, you a bad man. Well, I guess you gotta flesh him out, eh?
Yes, I have to.
Yeah.
Well,
Save the hide, solely.
I'll do it now, so go and spot.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well,
In the feet.
skin the feet out.
Yep.
You got little feet. That was a bad black bear. Came right into camp and tried to eat all his potatoes on the fire. They're right on the fire.
Well,
We'll see you later.
We'll see you later, Frank.
Getting that something. He said he had to run him off, what, 3 or 4 times? Well, we better saddle up. We're going on this evening ride.
Yes, we on. We better head out.
Yep. Most of the good outfitters I know that outfit for grizzly bear won't take a hunter for less than about 14 days. And the reason for that, like I told you, a grizzly bear is tough to find anytime. I always wanted to film high mountain grizzly bear and hunt them in this high country. And of course, you got your work cut out for you. They come to these high mountains in the fall of the year for berries and also to try to kill the rock chucker, the hoary marmot, or whistler. But we found grizzly sign everywhere. There've been bear here. They actually tore up acres of the tundra. What they're doing is eating a root system and also at the same time trying to kill what we call a high mountain vole or mole, a little teeny rodent about the size of a mouse. Kind of wonder what kind of nourishment they could get out of a small mammal like that. Probably expended more energy than they actually got back in food value. You know, I think it's a good idea to keep in mind that a grizzly bear could probably defeat the world's fastest human by 30 yards or so in a 100-yard dash. Something to remember. From a standing start 150 yards away, it would take a grizzly to get to you about 10 seconds. We saw a lot of wolf sign, and I did get to film a big black wolf. He was moving along a ridge, didn't seem to be too concerned, even though he'd seen us just before he got the camera set up. Moved along the ridge and went on his way. This is that wolf's home range. I found the wolves in British Columbia, Canada, to run all the way from coal black like that guy to almost white. And in a family group, you'll able to see gray, coal black, or you name the color and they have it. We found this wolf's den. Found the trails leading to and from it and just kept following them. It was in the open on a ridge, a little pile of brush. The opening was big enough for a man to crawl down. And there was wolf hair and tracks and sign everywhere. In that 14 days we spent in that high country, you'll spend about 8 hours a day glassing. Most of these Rocky Mountains have goat. Here's a little band of goat right here. Looks odd to see them in the timber that way, but just below them is a 1,000-foot cliff. and it's the first sign of danger, they're gone. Grizzly. This is what we've been looking for 12 days. He's right out digging on a hillside. Probably after roots and mold. It's a good bear. He's 3/4 of a mile away. Now the wind's moving right at us. And as you start towards that bear, it races through your mind, you're going to have to know the most potential dangerous and formidable creature that probably walks this planet. I don't think there's another animal in the world that compared to a grizzly. Take the punishment they can and still kill it. And you know, Bruce Scott here had never killed a grizzly. And you don't know how you're going to perform until it gets down to the final seconds. We only had about 300 yards to go, and the wind shifted. Start eddying around. Going right at him. He smells us. That's bad. This is a bad deal. That bear's a buzz. I don't recommend this for anybody. He turned around sideways and looked right at us. He knew we were here. Bruce got ready. I yelled to Bear, "Hey Bear, hey Bear." He turned and held. He went right through it. Broke his left front leg. Get another shot. Headed for the brush. Disappeared in the timber. Right even with us. We were lucky he didn't come right at us. He turned and went down that mountain at an angle. Where is it? Big blood spot. He had to be bleeding out of the heart. And a spot of blood that. This is dangerous work. Nobody likes this. There he is. Dead. Bruce had done a tremendous job killing that bear. He'd went 200 yards after he shot him, went down in this brush and piled up. Scott is one of the better skeet shooters in America, and he hit that bear the second shot right through the heart again. But he still went 200 yards. Now this isn't a tremendous bear, it's a good one. 7.5 foot, high mountain grizzly bear. And he had the most beautiful prime fur I've ever seen. He was total silver tipped all over the bear, even his belly. Beautiful bear. You know, once you go to that high country, it becomes a disease. The mountains keep calling you back year after year. I know it is with me.
Well, we just salt them up for the trip home, huh?
Yeah, you got them all ready to go.
Fair black bear. You know, I was really surprised at the difference in color in these grizzlies.
Well,
this is a beautiful silver tip.
they have a wide range of color in this country. They go from pretty near black to spar mottled like this. And
So it was almost a yellow.
yeah, and then straight silver tips with just a glaze down the back. But you got a good, decent pair of bears which will look really nice when they're all mounted up. I don't know, Bruce. That is about as high colored a bear as you get as far as coloring goes.
This is the first grizzly bear that I ever killed. I shot him in Alaska 28 years ago when I was guiding up there, and it's also the first bear I ever filmed. It's only a 400-pound bear, 6 foot high, but he was dying of old age. His teeth were all rotten. He charged me. I had to kill him. Come right out of a little hole in the tundra and charged me. The reason I'm showing you this bear, I think it's important you realize that they're not all monsters. These two grizzly bear cubs are in a Salt Lake City zoo, and they didn't think the mother could raise both of them, so they took one away from her and hand-raised it. And what you're hearing here is probably for the first time is a grizzly bear purring. Sounds like a little washing machine motor or something. And when you're feeding him, he purrs like that. Now that white collar, he won't have that after he comes out of the den. In other words, when he's about 3 months old, that disappears. Look at those little paws and claws. He's all equipped right now. And being around this little guy for a while, on and off for a couple of years, I've found out how stubborn and how mean they can be. He looks cuddly and nice, doesn't he? Well, at 1.5 years old, he already learned how to really roughhouse. And they raised this bear, now he's about 10 or 12 years old, and he appears in a lot of films. But he was hand-raised, and at 1.5 years old, if you didn't watch it, he put the hurt on you. Grace Plain was one of the people that helped train him. High mountain grizzly bear come out in the spring of the year, and the snow can be on the ground. And this is a good-sized bear. What we have here, 150 yards away, is a younger grizzly on a kill. It's an elk kill. Look at that. He took one look, and he's gone. You know, they judge every bear by sight. That bear's a mile away. He knows he's bigger, and he immediately takes off running. Like I told you before, a boar grizzly will kill another boar. If he can find a younger boar in his area, he'll chase him until he runs him down. And a lot of those young, whoops, he almost fell down. A lot of those young grizzly get killed that way. Biologists tell us probably the most detrimental thing to other grizzly bear young ones is an older boar. He ran over there to a juniper tree and had some bare ground around it about 150 yards away and stopped. Do you think that's enough head start in case he has to really get with it? I felt kind of sorry for him. He laid there with his head down and watched the other bear. In the spring of the year in the Rockies, these grizzly will go from one area to another just looking for kills. And while this young bear had to wait, he did a lot of different things. It's kind of interesting. This was taken over a period of about 3 hours. While the other bear worked over his elk carcass, he did about everything imaginable a grizzly can do. You know, grizzly bear really look one color depending on the light, and it can change and it'll look another color. This bear looks almost black, but he isn't. This bear looks a real light blonde. You turn him around and the sun is shining on him, he'll change color on you. You notice that other bear. you can bet the other bear is a boar and this is a younger boar, even though he may look a little chunkier. He's afraid of it. Not all grizzly bear take a look at you and come. A lot of them are very shy. Late in the evening, I filmed this big bear in Canada. Spring of the year. Took one look, turned, and went. You know, you gotta be totally nuts to film grizzly bears. I'll tell you why. I'm thoroughly convinced if you film them long enough, you'll die at it. This year alone, in Yellowstone and Glacier Park, were 2 photographers killed. They not only killed these 2 photographers, they ate them. This bear's got some competition. He's got coyotes in the background. And he has another elk kill. That's a prime food source for the grizzly bear in the Rockies. Without the elk, they have a tough time making a living. After he ate his fill, he let those coyotes out. You know, there's very little high mountain grizzly bear footage, and I'll tell you why. Most people are nuts enough to film them. I've been filming them on and off for 30 years. You film along and then you get so scared, have a close call with one, and I've had a lot. And then you quit for a while, and then you see a bear and you can't turn down the footage and you start filming them. Spring of the year, these bear really move around. They're a total eating machine. That's all their mind thinks about. You know, probably the word grizzly came from the French word grizzle. Anyway, we seem to think that. French-Canadian early trappers called them grizzly bears. We probably only got about 300 to 1,000 grizzly bears in the United States. And those are basically around Glacier and Yellowstone, in and around the park. You notice that bear stop? He thinks there's a little tidbit there to eat. They never pass up a thing. He also knows that we're here. The greatest mistake you can make with a grizzly bear is to think they don't know you're there. A lot of times they just act like you're totally not there. They ignore you. Don't kid yourself. He knows that camera's here. They never quit moving. In the spring of the year, they go from one valley to the next, continually in search of food. Depending on the time of the spring of the year, depends on the food source. He thought that something was behind him. He turned. You know, the most deadly thing you can do with a bear is to follow it. They don't like to be followed. They'll turn around and kill you. There's always a change from early spring until what I call green spring, where you see the rainbows, a lot of things start blossoming out. You see the cow moose with her calf. You can always tell when the elk are having their calves. You can go by different signs. It'll change a little bit from year to year, but usually when the swallows start nesting, taking the mud to the cliffs and building their nests, cow elk are having calves. And at this time of year, the grizzly bear like to go and forage on all that green grass in and around wildflowers. They dig a lot. They probably like I said, 90% of their diet is either roots or vegetation. They have a race of grizzly bears in northern Canada, that's all they eat. Now here's a sight that strikes fear in the heart of anybody. It's an owl grizzly and her cubs. All that cub has to do is act like he's being bothered. She'll be on you like, forget it. They have adrenaline system totally different than any other animal. If they get mad, they may stay mad for 2 hours. Like you can get mad and stay mad for a minute or two, your adrenaline drops down. Not a grizzly bear. And this time of year, when the cow elk are having their calves, a lot of grizzly bear have adapted to hunting calf elk. They'll cover miles in a day. And they know where those cows give birth, usually out in these sagebrush flats. She doesn't go to heavy timber, she goes out here in the open. And then she'll leave the calf and go off by herself, go up to 100 yards away. The bear knows. And what he's doing is going out through this sagebrush looking for calf elk. There's an elk. Puts a burst of speed on. You know what she did? Stopped and then trotted away, trying to get him to follow her. He wasn't fooled. He went right back to the same tree he jumped her at. What he's doing here, looking for that calf. There's a tree he jumped her at. What the grizzly didn't know is the calf was 100 yards away. He wasn't right near the tree. She'd left him and then went under the tree. Look at him smell. Testing the air, go along. See him put his nose in the air and smell it. He'd like to find that calf. Never give up hope. She stood about 200 yards away where you could see her. He took after her. She just waited on him and then trotted off. He's trying to lure him away just like a bird would with a broken wing axe. Trying to get him away from that calf. Now work. Now watch, there's a cow on the left here. Watch the left, there she goes. The minute she got him to leave that area where a calf was, she poured the steam on and gave up. Probably once in a lifetime, you get to see an animal perform a thing that is so much out of its lifestyle and its way of doing things that you're in awe. This is that sequence. This is a 400-pound grizzly bear. It's just spring of the year, the snow just went off. He'd been sitting in the bottom of that pond eating algae off the bottom. It's the first green thing that comes out in the spring of the year. Now he goes over and he kills a piece of grass. Then he pushes down on the floating grass and drowns it. same place and finishes drowning that chunk of grass. There you go. I'm going to drown you. Then I'm going to finish killing you. You know, this 4.5 minutes of film you see on this grizzly bear may be the most incredible wildlife sequence I've ever seen. And I didn't take it. The young man that I taught how to run my camera and film with me, Ron Shade, took this sequence. The bear is going to roll on his side here. There he is, swimming side stroke. Of all the scientific pamphlets I've read and all the books I have in grizzly bear, this is the first time it's ever been recorded that they eat that green algae off the bottom. Why shouldn't they? It's the first green thing that comes out in the spring of the year. We didn't know they used that as a food chain, but he is. These two geese aren't bothered a bit. They let him have the pond. Now he has this winter coat of hair. So he just swims around and kind of treads water and eats algae off the bottom, reaches down with one paw and picks it up and eats it. But as he comes out of that pond, he's going to have a good 200 gallons of water come off him. Why is he acting this way? I haven't got a clue. I guess he just loves being alive. Well, I hope you enjoyed bears and bear hunters half as much as that grizzly did this spring day. Thank you for watching.